Who didn't love the 90s? Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 things only 90s kids will understand.
Peanut buttery Butterfinger BBs.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger BBs.
For this list, we're going over the things and experiences that were relatively unique to those who grew up during the 1990s.
Punch gushers! The blast of fruit punch is gonna drive you totally fruity!
Man, I got a split!
Number 10, the adrenaline rush of hearing the Fresh Prince theme.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
Sitcoms are generally the most adult thing kids are exposed to on TV, and in the early 90s, every kid's favorite was definitely the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Will Smith was, and still is to many of us, the absolute epitome of cool, and his show had all the same charisma and hilarity that he delivered.
Got in one little fight and my mom got scared and said, "You're moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air." I whistled for a cab, and when it came near, the license plate said fresh and it had dice in the mirror.
The anticipation that built in our young selves when the theme song began cannot properly be put into words. Speaking of words, we'll never get the show's lyrics out of our heads, no matter how much of our lives get flipped turned upside down.
Looked at my kingdom, I was finally there to sit on my throne as the Prince of Bel Air.
Number 9, when class wasn't class. Schools today have a lot more options when it comes to teaching and engaging kids. However, during the 90s, school could feel like a lot of the same day in and day out, at least for students. So we learned to savor those times when class didn't feel like class. A rainy day game of Heads Up, 7-Up during class, a game of Parachute during PE, or the excitement we got when the teacher wheeled in a TV from the AV club. These were the moments we lived for when going to school. Because watching Bill Nye the Science Guy never felt like a chore.
Bill Nye the Science Guy!
Number 8, needing the snazziest school supplies. The 90s were all about colors on everything. As kids, the louder and more colorful you could be, the cooler you were.
Like, whatever.
Alright, okay.
This extended not only to bigger school items like backpacks, we're looking at you, Lisa Frank, but also the things we kept inside them. We wrote and drew using single pens that dispensed multiple colors, milky gel pens for dark paper, and even markers with mini stamps. We didn't just have Elmer's glue, we had it in gel form. And we had it all in Space Maker pencil boxes, complete with a transparent lid. Number 7, how no games will come close to how good 90s ones are. Colorful items would never have been made during the 90s without some equally colorful ideas, and some of the more bizarre and awesome ones were about board games. 90s games were as strange and extreme as everything else during the decade. How else do you explain games like Dream Phone, a game similar to Clue, except the objective was to find out who had a crush on you?
It's Dan! Dan, my man!
You're right, I really like you.
Yes!
Dream Phone, the hot electronic talking phone game.
It's for you!
Or how about 13 Dead End Drive, where players fight over a major inheritance by trying to permanently get rid of the other players with traps? Wild, right?
The fun's alive with 13 Dead End Drive.
Number 6, how much a slap bracelet can hurt. Slap bracelets were a major fad during the 90s. They generally took the form of bendable metal bracelets with colorful plastic or soft coverings that could snap between being straight lines and conforming to the shape of your wrist. While they are still around today, they're not quite as sturdy as they used to be. Snapping one onto yourself or someone else sure is fun and looks totally trendy, but it could seriously hurt if done hard enough. They are made of metal after all. We can see why some schools took to banning them, even if we would have taken the bruises to remain fashionable at the time. Number 5, outdoor toys that had to be different. Whoever came up with some of the toys during the 90s was definitely thinking outside of the toy box. Most of them were new spins on familiar concepts.
I just gotta get moon boots.
Bicycle spoke decorations have been around since bikes were invented, but specifically made beads? That was a new one. And sure, everyone's played with a baseball, but how about one that's green and has a Velcro catcher's mitt? Or how about a skipping rope, but instead it's made of plastic and attached to one of your feet and counts your skips like a Fitbit? While there are plenty of weird toys today, we do miss these ones from our youth.
Faster, faster, it's a dance, it's a skip it everywhere!
3 different electronic skip-its, 3 different sounds, each sold separately, batteries not included.
Number 4, how to fold a paper fortune teller, and how much worth you put into what it said. Okay, these things may have been around for practically a century, but they were very important to us during the 90s, dang it.
It has the power to tell fortunes when given to a special girl on her half birthday.
I'm sure. Can I have half a piece of cake now?
Back in the day, we knew how to fold these things just right and knew exactly what to put in them to embarrass our friends. And despite knowing that our friends made them from paper, there was something mystical about the process of uncovering our fortune to the point where we're still embarrassed. Only now it's of how much stock we put into their outcomes. Oh my god, it says we like so-and-so? There's no way that's true, right? Plus, it was better than MASH. Now there's a game to end friendships.
Should we stop listening to you?
Yes. Definitely.
Free at last!
Number 3, the weird experimental foods and the struggle of getting your parents to get them for you. As we've seen already, the 90s were a time of experimentation with new concepts, and that extended to food as well.
So fruity, they'll really turn your head.
Whoa, I'll say.
The decade saw bizarre sweets and snacks like Gushers, Lifesavers Holes, Butterfinger BBs, and cheesecake Jell-O cups. Strange drinks like Squeeze-Its, patently unhealthy cereals like Oreo O's, Reptar Crunch, Cookie Crisp, and Rice Krispies Treats cereal, and soft drink experiments like Crystal Pepsi. Truly, it was a renaissance for the food industry. But did that make it any easier for us to convince our parents to buy a cereal that turned our tongues green? No. Some people just don't understand art. Number 2, how insanely loud the THX logo is. Yeah, sure, we've got specialty theaters these days with lots of surround sound and tons of output, but back in the 90s, THX was the name in sound for movies.
I got you the big screen TV, deluxe karaoke machine, and THX quality sound that would make George Lucas cream in his pants.
And before many movies, the THX logo would appear, along with its signature resonant sound that's so freaking loud you can feel it in your chest. It's a sound and experience so memorable that if you hummed it in public, people would know exactly what you were referencing and they might cover their ears reflexively. Or because you're making a weird noise in public. But definitely one of the two. Man, I really cannot wait for you to see what's at number 1 because if you knew me in the 90s, you would know that I subscribed to that way of life pretty hard. Also, I would like you to know that I currently own not only Dream Phone, but also 13 Dead End Drive and a Velcro catcher's mitt. Anyway, needless to say, I feel seen. All right, let's see the excellent honorable mentions, and then you will find out how my bedroom looked all those years ago.
Light bright, turn on the magic of shining light.
All they gotta do is meet once, then they'll fall in love for sure. Wow! Somebody help me!
Over 10,000 videos, 3 evening rentals, so no rush, no hassle. Fast checkout.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, the need for everything to be light up, color changing, especially purple, or inflatable. We've already touched a few times on how colorful and bright everything in the 90s was, but not only did everything have to be colorful, but it had to change colors too. Foods that changed colors were popular. Heck, sunscreen even sold by making it seem to kids like it would change their skin tone to weird shades. It totally didn't, much to our disappointment.
It's new Coppertone Kids Color Block, the world's first disappearing purple sunblock.
Purple, so you can't miss a spot.
Rub it in, and the purple disappears.
Everything had to be light up too, from sneakers to yo-yos. If it wasn't illuminated, it was only half as cool. Plus, inflatable stuff, including chairs and toys, was very popular. If we surrounded ourselves with this stuff now, we'd probably look crazy. But in the 90s, we were just trying to stay hip. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.